Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Pat. I am... Benny, I never say that.
Why?
I never say, hey, I'm Dr. Pat.
Yeah, you do. You've done them, not maybe introing the show, but...
Oh, my God.
Oh.
You know why I did it, though?
No, why?
Oh, guess who's on the show today?
Well, I know.
Yeah. And guess what the title of his book is? Focus.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Something we all sometimes need to grasp hold of, right?
Oh, my God. I'm telling you. David Essel joining me here today. The book is Focus, Benny and I. Now, Benny... Listen, you're breaking somebody new in while you're taking a few days off.
Not necessarily new. He's a veteran here, actually a producer here for the station and the group. Nathan, he does evenings and weekends, so he's going to fill in for the morning next week, a couple days.
How fun is that going to be for
Pretty
us?
fun. He's figuring it out.
Yeah, that's what I say. Yep, get a lot of sleep. But listen. This is a great show, Benny, because you and I know that in order to do anything like this, we do have to focus. But what is it about our lives? Do we know what it means to do that? David's joining us here today. Whether you know him as a counselor, an author, a life coach, #1 best-selling author, master life coach, international speaker, the one thing that I know about David and these 15 years that I've been on air and the times he's been on the show is his message is for all of us. It's to help us rise up and step forward in life. And I don't know how he does it, but he seems to write about something that is so needed in the world at the time he writes about it. I don't even know how he does it. David, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Dr. Pat, Benny, great to be back with you guys. I've been looking forward to this. Oh, my Lord. We're going to have a blast.
I so love that you focus, and then on the book cover, the book, right? On the book, you're crossing out the law of attraction. You know, there's a reason that both of us have done that, right? Despite what the public says about that. But there's a very good reason. How many people do you know tried out the law of attraction only to find out, oh, my gosh, why isn't my life changing?
You know, Dr. Pat, when I started writing this book, Focus, which is a follow-up to our last #1 bestseller, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, we received so many individuals curious about how could the law of attraction not be factual when you have, like, huge numbers of people still teaching it. And, you know, that's, unfortunately, that's the power of mass consciousness. You know, mass consciousness will promote an ideal even if it isn't accurate. And we've seen it, I mean, in tragic cases like Hitler and Pol Pot. We've seen where charismatic leaders or leaders that, quote unquote, can convince people to do insane things have been successful for periods of time. And unfortunately, the law of attraction falls into that category. You know, in the very first part of the book, and this is something that I was talking with Jenny McCarthy, she wrote the foreword to the book just a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this. I said, in the beginning, I tell this story that the law of attraction is actually more factual, Pat, with negative thoughts and behaviors than positive thoughts and behaviors. Because what the people who claim this stuff to be a law, which it isn't at all, is they say, whatever you think about, you bring about. So think about that car, that amount of money you want. Imagine checks in the mail and all that garbage, and it must come to you. Well, you know, the more logical amongst us, those who have really good intuition, When they hear people saying that, automatically turn and walk away, because the old adage from our forebears, if it sounds too good to be true, it is, rings really true with the law of attraction. Now, if you have a thought of anxiety about money, your health, a relationship, a career, that thought will multiply unless you do something about it, it will multiply until it takes over your life. But if you have, and as I say in the book, focus, lay your goals, Pat, if you have a positive thought, I've never had someone come in my office with a session in person or via Skype and go, you know what, David, last week when I was on the call with you, I had a positive thought and I can't get it out of my head. I've never had anyone say that, or a positive action step. I went to the gym once and I have to go every day now. According to the law of attraction, whatever you put out into the universe must respond in kind. If it was that simple, we wouldn't have the struggles in the world that we have today.
Yeah, the thing that I love about this, too, is that somewhere along the line, you and I learned, and I want to ask you where you learned. You and I learned that there is such a thing as positivity. I'm going to tell you, my nickname is Dr. Positivity or Pollyanna Patty, whichever you prefer. The network our network has been called the Disney of podcasting and radio.
Right.
And the question really is that I get, and I'm sure you get it, is, well, why bother with all this positive media and positive talk if it doesn't work? And I have one answer. And I'll tell you what my answer is, and I'd love for you to comment on it. If I just sat in my living room like I was when I was depressed 15 years ago and just had thoughts, oh, I'd love to have a network. Oh, I didn't have that thought, by the way. Oh, I'd love to do that. And I sat there and I did nothing. No action. I'd still be sitting on my couch.
That's right.
So how do we build this positive energy we have into absolutely out of the box epic lives?
Well, number one is we realize that we're not throwing positive thinking out. In all of my books, I say the same thing.
That's right.
20% of your day should be spent with your affirmations and your journaling and your reading positive messages. 20%, okay?
Yep.
20% of major life change will come from the way you think. 80% will come by you doing things today that you would rather not do. And that is the formula to success. You know, like in the book, I tell so many awesome stories. One is Evelyn Keeling. Evelyn is a friend of mine that got so super focused a number of years ago. She weighed 245 pounds more than she should have weighed.
Yeah.
She was 245 pounds overweight. And in the book, we say, here's her formula to not only lose 245 pounds in her 40s, but in her 50s to become a bodybuilder, walking across a Las Vegas stage in front of 15,000 screaming fans. On one side of the stage was this huge poster of her 245 pounds heavier. And then here she comes out strutting in her 50s as a bodybuilder. And the answer is that she decided to quit using the lie that genetics was the reason she was overweight. She got hyper-focused and dropped all fast food and junk food. She went into the gym, a place she didn't want to go in her current obese state. She went into the gym, and she radically took a couple years to change her life. But she felt when she made that transitionary change, she used positive thinking to say, come on, let's get to the gym. Let's walk for 10 minutes on the treadmill. You can do this. Come on, just 10 minutes. So she used positive thought. So we're not saying to your listeners of the world with these books that positive thinking is a waste of time. We're just saying relying on the thought process to change your life is a waste of time. If someone were to put a thought out into the universe, like the way these law of attraction teachers teach it, whatever you think about, you bring about, nonsense. But if someone were to wake up today and go, I am a millionaire, and that night they won the lottery and it was $1 million, we wouldn't say that was the power of thought. We would say that was a miracle. And I would say to anyone that wants to try this stuff, it's sad. In the beginning of the book, I write about 2 examples that happened just last year. Like you and I, Pat, unless we really pay close attention to social media, we have dropped this whole fantastical thinking nonsense years ago. But just a few months ago, before I wrote the book, when I was finishing the book, I went back to chapter 1 and added 2 examples on social media where one law of attraction teacher, now we're talking 9-10 months ago, put on my Facebook wall, they put this thing saying, do you want to learn through the law of attraction how to earn $100,000 in 3 days? Join my course. Through the law of attraction, you can learn, without changing your current work routine, how to attract $100,000 in 3 days. That stuff nauseates me. It nauseates me.
Wow. I'm kind of like the examples that you just put out there. If you looked at me a bunch of years back, I was 100 pounds heavier for a lot of reasons. But also, people think that I show up, you show up, you're a best-selling author, and all of a sudden we've got this great conversation happening. But I'll tell you, I do things during my day that I would not necessarily want to do. But I know that, I'm like, right? I mean, I don't have like 5,000 people to hire to get them done, but I do them because I am so absolutely in love with the world that I'd like to create that I will do them. Some days I ask, David, I wake up and I do a meditation. I ask one question every meditation. I'm a little boring like that, but I'm focused.
Right.
I ask, what is mine to do today? Yesterday, it was do the laundry and dust your furniture. And I did it. And I did it. But it doesn't mean that I still didn't have other things in my life to do. What would you say, David, is the number one misconception we have around manifesting? Where is it that we think that I'm going to rub my crystal ball? Where does it break down for people, in your opinion?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to go back to mass consciousness. And some of my teachers and some of my gurus that I used to teach this stuff. Now, this is really important. I write this in the book. I used to teach, and before it was called the Law of Attraction, I traveled the world as an international motivational speaker, 40 weeks a year, Pat, and I would get on stage and I would say, whatever you believe, you can achieve. It's the same thing they say now. Now they just say, whatever thoughts you put in the universe must respond in return in kind. So I was one of the culprits. I was one of the problems until 1996. And the reason it happens is because we have the gurus, some who I love still to this day, that are teaching nonsensical things. They're teaching fantasy, illusion. Now, when in 1990, Lifetime Television labeled me Mr. Motivation. Yeah. And I am an outrageously motivated and very positive thinker. Yeah. But even with that title, Pat, I wrote books for 20 years before we got a number one bestseller. 20 years. So when people say, how do you manifest everything so quickly? I go, I don't.
I know. They asked me that same question, and I was interviewed the other day because we're getting ready to launch 2 crowdfunding initiatives. One is a new video game on Lyme disease to educate people, and the other one is our new network expansion, our Media Mojo. And they said to me, wow, how did you get to where? I said, I've been doing radio 15 years.
Exactly.
They're like, really? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And so, but there's something about the way you and I are showing up today that has gotten the group consciousness attention. Is it because there's now a sense of action that combines with the energy of, let's just say, thought? But more importantly, I really do have to put all of my attention on what I want to create. Otherwise, I have a group of people here that don't know what to do day to day.
Yes. Well, everything goes in cycles in life.
Mm-hmm.
And there are cycles where we believe certain things and then we drop them as not necessary. If you go back to our grandparents and great-grandparents and great-grandparents, they would say that you want to make a lot of money, pull up your bootstraps and work 2 jobs. That's what they would say.
Yeah.
They would say, pull up your bootstraps, and you know what? They were freaking right.
Yeah.
Vince Lombardi, when he was coach in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers, he was one of the first people to say, no pain, no gain.
No gain.
Well,
yep.
And then we got rid of that statement, and we said, that's harsh, that's too hard, that's old-time thinking. Guess what's coming back? No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt, who I wrote about in several of my books, the greatest sprinter of all. When he was in an interview, Pat, you want to talk about focus. And the interviewer said to him, how is it that you became the number 1 sprinter in the world from out of nowhere? And here's his answer. He said, I do everything my coach wants me to do every day, and 99% of what he wants me to do, I hate. I would never do on my own. And so we're having this big pushback to the secret and the law of attraction and all this nonsensical stuff. And we're having even people like Olympic gold athletes saying to us, well, they had got their butt off, And so you and I now, Pat, you and I are on the crest. We are leading a new wave of reality regarding manifestation.
Yeah.
You and I are out there as the front runners saying, people wake up. That stuff that says you can sit in your living room with your vision board and attract what you want is nonsense. And if it happens, it's a miracle for you. Let's, go ahead and keep thinking positively, because miracles are beautiful. But while you're waiting for the miracle, let's change our lives. How does that sound?
Yeah. The only time that I've been able to sit in my living room was when I was absolutely depressed back in 2003. And then accidentally dialed a wrong phone number and bought my first hour of airtime. But, I love what you've got in this book, David. And before we continue, please let folks know, number one, how can they find out more about you? And then how can they get a copy of the book? Because I want to jump in to talk about the one thing theory with you here.
Oh, perfect. All right, Dr. Patton, I'm going to offer every listener of your show who's serious about changing their life, I want to give them a free 20-minute phone counseling session. There's not a hook. There's not a charge. All they have to do is go to our website, talkdavid.com, T-A-L-K David, talkdavid.com. Send us an email. Say, hey, I heard David on Dr. Pat's show, and I'd like to get my free 20-minute session. We will get them focused in 20 minutes, and my team will set up the phone call. And then while they're at the site, talkdavid.com, they can preview the book that you and I are talking about, Focus, Slay Your Goals, the forward by celebrity Jenny McCarthy. And I was mentioning a minute ago, Dr. Pat, I was on her show about 3 weeks ago, and she started the show laughing. And the whole show is on our website, too, her interview. But she talked about how the first time that I was on her show, she was a fan of The Secret and the Law of Attraction, and how she changed her mindset and beliefs after just one interview. So we welcome all of your listeners to take advantage of getting the book and the free session at talkdavid.com.
Okay, so I want to make sure we do this. And as a matter of fact, I want to make sure that both Jessica, Linda, and the team here, that we post this on all of our social media for those of you that are going to be listening to this later on today. I don't think I'm very different from our listeners, because once upon a time, I did really have a sense that there was this notion of psychically manifesting. But then when I went back and I looked at it, David, and I can give you exact stories of how I sat there one day and I was in this manifestation prayer about my dissertation at the time. And I clearly wanted this dissertation to be accepted for a paper which means you win an award for it. But I wanted people to know about this thing I was studying. And I remember being in this mantra right at the moment, and I could hear my email come in. And as I was doing this mantra, I had gotten an email that it was accepted. But here's the catch. I had to do a lot of things. I mean, I studied this 8 years, David. So people think, okay, that's great. But wait a minute, 8 years of living and breathing it. But I love what you've got in this book. I love this. The one thing theory has been so important in my understanding of how to optimize becoming who I am today. And I'm so glad you put this in the book. Tell us about it, please.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. In 1996, I had this amazing interview with the founder of Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And in that 1 hour interview, he radically changed all of my thoughts about success. And what came out of that was this. First of all, multitasking is way overrated, and it will get you into a hole quicker than anything in the world. When you're trying to multitask, going after, quitting smoking and losing weight and making more money and finding a great lover, like that's multitasking goals. And we say with the one thing theory, throw that out the window, and here's the definition of the one thing theory. The one thing theory states that at any given time in life, there's only one goal to go after. It's the one you've procrastinated, denied, and delayed working on. It's something that you've known for months, weeks, or years that you need to attack. And once you put your full focus, 6 to 7 days a week, Pat, for 90 days on this thing that you want to avoid, your life will radically change. And that's a guarantee. So what we say is, and it's a little different, if going back against all this motivational poo-pah books and speakers, where they say, what do you want? Do you want to earn $1 million a year? By the way, for everyone who wants to earn $1 million a year, that's $80,000 a month. Do you have the talent? Are you gifted enough? Do you have the drive, the perseverance? Are you willing to walk through walls? Most of us, if we're honest, will say no. So let's throw that crap out the window. I'm not saying don't go after more money, but in our one thing theory, we say, where has been the biggest struggle? Is it finances? And if it is, what are you doing with your expenses? Let's not forget that equation that most of us get into financial trouble, not just because our income isn't high enough. It's because our expenses are way too high. Or, someone, Pat, might say that their one thing is their weight. That for years, their doctors, their family, their friends have been saying, you really got to lose some weight, but we put it off. Well, if you were to start to wrestle in your expenses and your finances, if that's your one thing, or if you were to start to really go after your weight for 90 straight days, at the end of 90 days, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, you'll have higher self-confidence, higher self-esteem by going after the one goal that you procrastinated on the most. So instead of this playtime, psychological playtime, where we fantasize about going after something we don't have, what we're saying in our book, Focus, Slay Your Goals, is let's go after the one thing you procrastinated on the longest, because that's the quickest way to boost who you are, where you're going, and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah. This is really some of the things that I think for me, I've grown up and have been able to reflect upon this. And, one of the quotes you have in your book is this, and I want to talk about this for a minute. You are worthy of every goal you desire, right? That is very, very powerful. And I find when I work with people one-on-one or I talk to individuals, it is so hard for us to truly express out loud or on writing what we really desire. As if I desire that much success, David, it's not going to be it's not worthy of me. And isn't that one of the greatest, I think, obstacles that we got to do some crust busting on?
Pat, exactly. And here's the cool thing. If you want to create a deeper feeling of worthiness, do what you'd rather not do.
Mm-hmm.
That builds self-confidence and self-esteem, and it proves that you're worthy of losing the weight, making the money, saving the relationship, quitting the addiction. Like, and this goes hand in hand. You're right. For worthy every desire, if you're willing to do those tasks you'd rather not. But you know how sometimes, people say, well, you're God, worthy of all the riches in the universe. Well, that could be true, but what are you doing to prove to yourself that you are worthy of the riches of the universe? Putting your worthiness on an affirmation or a vision board, because that ain't going to cut it. But people, and like, let's say you're in an abusive relationship, and someone says to you, you're a child of God, you're worthy of deep love. Well, until you lose that abusive relationship, you're only worthy of abusive relationships. Can I get an amen?
Yeah, that is an amen, because I've been in an abusive relationship, and until you do something about it, that is not, your life is going to be caught in this reoccurring loop.
Absolutely.
And, your book really nails it, because my mom used to say this to us kids all the time. Honey, you can wish for everything you want, but you have to take action. And then once you take that action, you have to be accountable for whatever the result of that action is. If you,
That's right.
and I can't cuss on air, but she would say, if you do this half, then that's what you're going to get back. But just make sure you show up in full accountability for how this thing is, right?
That's right.
That's really, that's a lesson that was really hard for me to get. How are you doing with that one?
Well, let me go back to pulling ourselves up by our bootstrap comment.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom from our family, that we were taught by mom and dad when we were 10 years of age or 18 years of age, that I look back now and go, holy cow, like they were a lot smarter than I thought, But let me mention this, Dr. Pat. The world of personal growth can either be our greatest ally or the greatest saboteur. If we're going after this fantastical thinking stuff, whatever you believe you can achieve, and you're falling from things, that's where we got so super soft. It's psychological psychobabble. It like in the book, I write about Marquette King, who's the punter for the NFL Oakland Raiders. I will tell you this. Marquette King did not get a 5-year huge contract as a punter in the NFL via an affirmation or a vision board. Okay? He got it by doing super uncomfortable things. My mentor, Joe Cerulli, went from homeless to multi-trillionaire. And he will tell you that he had to do the most uncomfortable things for 20 years in a row before he was rewarded financially. And there's a guy, Tom, in the book. Opiate addiction is huge in this country right now. Dr. Pat, there's one of my clients, Tom, that we write about, who was a 30-year opiate addict, right? And in 90 days, we got him clean. That was over a year ago, and saved his marriage.
Yeah.
Like huge stuff when you get focused.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to really dig into this. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, let me just say that this is really the coolest thing that I think we could be talking about. When we come back, we're going to talk about this idea of intention, but not in the way you might think you've heard about it before. We're just going to talk about a little bit different version of an intention. And like my mom used to say, honey, I don't care how much you like it or how uncomfortable it is, you need to put on your big girl panties and step up and get it done. We're going to take a short break. David says it much better, much nicer, much better, but equally firm. We'll be right back.
Ignite your inner magic on Grow Your Soul Radio with Jane Matanga. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as host Jane Matanga explores how to overcome your fears to help you gain the inspiration you need to awaken your path to joy. Learn the way to life mastery and the enlightened path with Grow Your Soul Radio. For more information on Jane Matanga and her work, visit enlightened-path.com.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
Let It Go Radio. The future awaits you. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as host Barbara Scheidegger explores the way to clarity, peace, and how to live a successful life on your terms by turning negative experiences into positive ones. Barbara's curiosity about the human experience drives her both personally and professionally. As a life coach, author, and renowned clinical hypnotherapist, Barbara knows how to move forward in a natural, organic way without side effects. If you want to grow, be sure to tune in to Let It Go Radio. To learn more, visit letitgohypnosis.com.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown, from the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are. The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net. 1-800-323-1790. 1-800-323-1790.
Hey, everybody. Super welcome back. David, you know what? I love this book, by the way, because I hope that you all really think about what I'm about to say. I've spent a lot of years not really knowing how to get from where I was to where I wanted to go. And somewhere along the line, David and I have talked many times since we started this journey together. But here's the thing I want to say about what he puts in this book, Focus, right? And, we're going to talk more about it. What he's gotten here is a clear and concise, I'm going to call it a formula, so that you do not procrastinate and waste time to get from where you are and where you desire to go. And you may have to change up a few of the things you're doing, but I'm telling you, what we're about to even talk about right now is going to change the trajectory of your desires coming into action. David, but before we do that, please, one more time, talk about how people can get this fabulous conversation with you, this offer you guys have put together.
Oh, Dr. Pat, I'd love to. So for all of your listeners that would like to have a jumpstart phone counseling session with me, absolutely free, all they have to do is go to our website, talkdavid.com, T-A-L-K David, talkdavid.com. Send us an email and say, hey, I listened to David on Dr. Pat's show, and I'd like to get my free phone counseling session to help them get focused and jump-started, Pat, onto their new goals, and my team will get back to them and set them up. And while you're at talkdavid.com, you can check out the book, Focus, Slay Your Goals, preview it, take a look at what's going on with it, and you're going to love it.
Yeah, and I've already gotten myself in there to have a chat with you because, the bottom line is that, we all are at a place where we want things in our lives. We do. I've never met anybody, never met anybody in my life. I've interviewed over 9,000 people, never talked to anybody, not a single listener that didn't desire something in their life that they didn't already have. And so here's what I want to ask you. I know you're going to have to leave early today. I want to talk about chapter 5 of the book Focus. I want to talk about the power of intention and what it is about what we get about intention and what we don't get. And then I want to talk about uncomfortability, the notion of having an itch that you just can't scratch until you do something. That's not in your book. I just made that up. But let's talk about intention for a minute.
So, Pat, the intention.
We don't get it, David. We don't get it.
No, we don't. And here we go back to mass consciousness. I love Oprah. But if Oprah is out there promoting like The Secret and the Law of Attraction that are not factual, here we are in 2018, but she didn't know that in 2007 or whenever else, like these things, they sound good. Oh, it'd be great if we could put it out there. So intentions and affirmations to us, Dr. Pat, are the same thing. So people have a tendency to use affirmations or intentions to jumpstart their life or to change their life. So in our book, in the chapter you're talking about, we say the old affirmations or intentions are so toxic. Now listen to this. They are so toxic and harmful because the old affirmations, another word for them is self-lying. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I am whatever your name is, because I am is a beautiful way to start an affirmation or intention. And I am a size 12 when you're a size 24, you are lying to yourself. Mm-hmm. When you say, I am with the soulmate of my life and you're single, you are lying to yourself. Yeah. When you say, I am earning $1 million a year when you're earning $30,000 or $50,000 a year, you are lying to yourself. Now, there is nothing healthy at all about waking up and lying. There's no one in the world that can convince me that this is the way to go. Now, here's the catch. Yeah. When you say any type of affirmation at all, there is a cascade of chemicals released in the brain, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, that make you feel good in the moment. But if you're feeling good in the moment and lying, hell, you can have a glass of wine and feel good in the moment. It doesn't mean it's good for you. That first glass might lead to the second, third, fourth, and fifth, but the first one feels good. But if you're going to lie to yourself through your affirmations and intentions, that is not a good setup. And as a matter of fact, Dr. Pat, this is what we've found in our practice for 28 years. The longer you do affirmations or intentions that are filled with lies, not truth, the less motivation you will have as time goes on. And that is crucial for your audience to hear. So you go ahead and wake up every morning for 6 months and say that you are a millionaire when you're earning $40,000 a year. At the 7th, 8th, and 9th month, I'm not going to be surprised when your action steps decrease dramatically. Yeah. So what we say in the book is be realistic and exciting. So you might say, if you're a size 24, you might say, I am eating a clean diet 7 days a week and exercising 6 days a week on my way from a size 24 to a size 18. Now, that is the new form of affirmation and intention that we write about in the book. Or you might say, I am struggling with alcohol. However, as of tonight, I have hired a personal consultant, an addiction specialist, to help me get sober and free from this addiction. Now, that's a healthy intention and affirmation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because I am an addiction consultant, and I couldn't agree with you more about this. And, for you and I to talk about it, I would like to have everyone listening. If you're not clear about this, it's clear in the book, but you got nothing to lose by trying this way to go about it. Right. I mean, so if you're in your life, right, David, and you're listening to this show and there just ain't nothing happening, right? They just ain't. You're still like, I got the same affirmation I had since I was 12, and boy, I know it's going to happen someday, but it just ain't happening. We've got to decide to try something different, right? What's the definition of insanity, right? Yep. We keep doing that same old thing, and we're expecting a different result. But this is really where we begin. The other thing you talk about here is, I wish I had 2 hours with you. The other thing here is that I love this: cancel your negative thoughts. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, what does David mean about that? Okay, cancel is CANCEL.
Yeah. This is crucial.
It works.
So on your pathway to achieve your weight loss, the money, the freedom from addiction, the love, whatever, there's going to be doubt, insecurity, fear coming up. There's going to be a denial that, I'll start it tomorrow. I was going to start eating clean today, but let me start tomorrow. Whenever you have an inappropriate thought come up, we just immediately say, cancel that thought, and then just repeat, I am free. Cancel that thought, I am free. And you will, over time, be able to walk into those uncomfortable steps on a daily basis with much more ease than it is in the beginning to change. Because in the beginning to change any long-held habit or belief, it takes a lot of effort, Dr. Pat.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the other thing that you talk about here is gratitude in a different way. I have to tell you, when I was sick, and I was very, very sick, many people didn't know how sick I was when I was on air. Because when I was on air, David, time stood still. My body didn't hurt. There was something that happened to me on air. And I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to be on air because it was healing for me, and there was no question in my mind that this is what I was called to do. But I learned something from one of the people I interviewed. I couldn't do the gratitude thing the way that everybody was telling me to do it. But I could do one thing, David. No matter what showed up in my life, I could say, thank you, God. Now, let's talk about gratitude in a different way, because we need a different way. We need a different way.
Dr. Pat, it's the same trap with intentions. We've been told to have gratitude for what you don't have. Now, again, we're lying with these statements. I want to make this clear to the audience. When you say, I am grateful for that $1 million salary every year, and you're not anywhere near close to it, you're lying to yourself. Now, it feels good. I'm not going to take that away from these teachers. It feels good, but it's a lie. So I would rather have you follow Eckhart Tolle's teaching, The Power of Now, where he said years ago, be grateful for what you have in this present moment as you work towards a new life. So I say to people, wake up and say, I am so grateful if I have 2 legs, as I need to lose 100 pounds, but I am so grateful that I have these 2 legs to go to the gym with. I am so grateful that I actually am off the street living in an apartment, even though I'm not pleased with my conditions. I'm grateful for this because as I work my 2 jobs, I'm going to be able to afford a better place. So what we say in the book is, once again, if you're going to lie to yourself, Dr. Pat, and say that you're grateful for the perfect relationship that you're in right now as you're single, that is a lie. So say, I am grateful for the time being single to learn more about myself and what I can do better in my next relationship. Now we're living in the present moment, and this is where life exists.
Wow. Now, I got to tell you, I read this part of your book 6 times. And I read it 6 times because I wanted to hang on every word. And it's the 3rd key. And it's step into the uncomfortable. Now, I gave you my mom's version of it. Can you imagine her? She was from the Deep South with a little Southern accent, just saying that there. But this is so important and is so needed that if folks don't get anything from the call today, I hope they get this one. Why is this one in particular, or how is this one in particular truly the key to manifestation?
Yeah, Pat, you could not say an affirmation for the rest of your life. You could not have a gratitude statement for the rest of your life. But if you do step number 3, and that is action steps on a daily basis, 6 days a week or more, for 90 straight days that you would rather not do, you will be a successful person with a great attitude. Because that is the key. If you look at Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and if you look at any professional athlete, LeBron James, if you look at any musician, if you look at anyone who has achieved great wealth or a great body or a great love relationship, they'll all come back to this, that there were periods of time in their life that they had to do things that they would rather not do, spend money on consultants and coaches and therapists and healers that they didn't want to spend. They did things on a daily basis that they didn't want to do that led to their next level of success. You know, like, this is the key. And I have to tell you something interesting, and if there's any people who are listening that have written books. When I wrote my first book 22 years ago now, I expected it to become a #1 bestseller. It never did. And then I thought, you know, maybe I'm not cut out for writing. So I wrote my next book. It did not become a #1 bestseller. and there was a challenge because the next 8 books I wrote never hit the charts. But all of a sudden, number 9 blew the doors off, and number 10. And there were many days, Pat, that I didn't want to invest the time into hiring editors, graphic designers, people to do the covers. I didn't want to put the money into it because I had publishers for a number of my books and some big publishers that I don't think did a really great job marketing-wise. Mm-hmm. And so I took that back. I have been self-publishing for several years now. And through my own effort, and just like what you said, investing $100,000 into the radio show, I invested so much money into my own programs, and it was uncomfortable. If you need to hire a personal trainer, but you don't want to give up your money because that scares you, get uncomfortable. You know, those steps are going to lead you to success faster. So don't even worry about affirmations. Don't worry about vision boards. Don't worry about gratitude. If you just do those steps 6 to 7 days a week you don't want to do, I promise you your life will radically change.
Yeah, I love this. And as a matter of fact, David, you don't know this, but I've been applying your book to getting back at doing something I love. Ping pong, I call it table tennis. Now, I'm telling you, I'm a really good player, but I was about 20 pounds heavier than I should be to play. I was coming back after not playing for 3 decades, and it was more than uncomfortable for me to get out on the court and play because I knew how well I could play, but I just wasn't there. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I had to keep track of my progress, and I just loved playing. And it was uncomfortable for me and still is uncomfortable. But how often do we deny ourselves our birthright of having a life full of joy, full of happiness, full of beauty, because we let a little discomfort be a showstopper?
And, you know, I'm going to go back to this, you know, the teachings that you and I are breaking the mold and reversing here. If you look at those old teachings, they're saying, as a matter of fact, one of the most popular statements of the law of attraction says, if you're on a path to achieve success in any given area of life, and it becomes uncomfortable, that's a sign you're on the wrong path. It makes me puke, because the truth is, if you're on a path to achieve a huge goal and it gets uncomfortable, that just verifies you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my goodness, Dr. Pat.
Yeah. And, you know, I have kept track in my life of all those things, David. I've kept track of them and, you know, have been able to look at, you know, you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to stand in front of a committee and tell them that your research on broken promises has never been done before and it's needed in the world. You've never been David. You've never been you standing in front of audiences talking about something maybe the general population is going to give you some backlash about, but you're doing it anyway. And I'm very grateful for you doing it. I know you've got to run. David, thank you so much. I got one last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with? And how can people get a copy of the book?
Okay, so first, the book, go to talkdavid.com. You'll be able to see the preview and read about the reviews, all the people that are raving about it. So that's at talkdavid.com. And the final message is this. If life was supposed to be meant to live with absolute ease, where your thoughts create things, we would not have the struggles in this world that we have today. If it was so simple that you could just sit back and say an affirmation and lose weight, create the pathway to your soulmate, make $1 million a year, we would have millions of people on that pathway. These old teachings have been around officially since 2006, and we don't have a change in the number of people in America earning $250,000 a year. That stayed the same. We don't even have a change in people who are earning $1 million a year. That has stayed the same. And here's the other thing, Dr. Pat. In 2006, 70% of Americans were overweight or obese, and it's the same today. If it was so simple that those teachings worked, we would have a radically different change in the statistics of what I just said. So take a big breath, let mass consciousness go, follow Dr. Pat and myself, the new pathway to success, and you will forever be grateful and achieve what you deserve in life.
I love it. And the other thing I want to say, David, is what you're offering people. I did not get here alone. Right now, today, I work with anywhere from 3 to 5 coaches on a regular basis because we have a big vision here. And I know that I need help to get there. And you're offering people help. Thank you for recognizing that we did not or were not born to take this journey alone.
Right on, Dr. Pat. I love it. And I have counselors and coaches, too, to back that up. And so no matter how high we get in life, we need people around us to keep us on our path. And I want to tell you, this is just so exciting to be back with you. And whenever we can do this again, Dr. Pat, I would love it. Let's keep your listeners on the edge of success, not back in time, which is what you're doing, and I appreciate that.
Yep, I'm going to have you back. I know you got to run. David, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Much success, and we will talk soon again. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Bye, Dr. Pat.
All right. Now, listen, everyone. This is for most of us. You all have heard me talk about this and some of the ideas that David has put in his book, Focus. David Essel, everybody. Here's the thing. I cannot give you a single example of anything I've achieved in my life where I didn't feel uncomfortable. Every show I do, every time I get on air, every word that you hear me say, it is based on doing something I love. And even with that, there are moments where I get a little fear, a little doubt, and I do it anyway. Because I know that we're all here to help each other grow, achieve success, and just support you in whatever you're doing. So if you're wanting to just get some really quick, this is what I need to do. I think what David's done in the book is he cuts right to the chase. He gets to it, and he tells all of us, and he has reminded me that I, too, today will do things that I'm uncomfortable with. Thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. For more information about me, you can go to the Dr. Pat Show. And if you missed any part of this, please go ahead and get yourself some podcasts, sign up for our podcast. And the other thing is, don't forget to listen to Transformation Talk Radio, because we're bringing you some of the world's thought leaders, people that are really taking action to help all of us change our lives. And remember this, you're special. You really are special. You know, where you are today, as uncomfortable as it may seem, is not the place you're going to have to stay. All of us here are with you on your journey, and we so love you. All right, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for, another woman that's bringing a conversation that's different to the table, Sarah Main. We'll see you in a few.
Singing,
preceding audio was via a Skype call.